Brian, hello. How are you? Well, great, great. I'm glad to hear that, my friend. I really enjoyed your post today. Absolutely amazing work. I'm not sure how you do what you do, but it's amazing. The graphic arts are definitely your thing. I'm always excited to see a notification from you because I have an anticipation on what I'm about to see. So it's always great. Uh, Love the A380 flight over your town. That was pretty amazing. I'm trying some new things tonight. I hope the camera is better. I'm no longer using the phone, so this is the first time that I'm actually using. I've got a laptop here powering this, and I've also got a docking station with a screen that's in front of me. And I'm actually normally I've got this microphone here uh, plugged into plugged into my phone, which is interesting that it works. But um, now it's actually all ran through a docking station, and hopefully works out better. And I certainly like using the desktop um, YouTube Studio because it I can schedule, like, it sends out a notification. I learned that just a few minutes ago that I can tell it when I'm going to be online and be live, and it will essentially send out a notification to everyone else. So I'm thankful for that. So, hey CB, how are you today? How's your day been? Everything good? I don't know if y'all saw the couple of the posts I've done. Uh, One idea I got is I've recently learned that wrong side. I've learned that this sign is not really appropriate for YouTube, and the reason for that is because I made the mistake of thinking that it was all right for me to put the play button, the YouTube play button, as part of my artwork. And I have read, now I didn't get a notification, no one's fussed at me, but if I do something wrong, I want to fix it before someone does notify me. So I've already removed it from all my logos. Um, I cannot remove it from some of my videos, but future videos it will be removed. And if I have to take down some of the other things, then in the future, maybe that, I'll figure it out as I get there. But either way, so I've got an option. I either buy a new sign, which I really don't want to do. I really, really like this one. Um, or I can cover that up. So what I thought about is I was just going to place a small American flag over the play button, um, indicating where I'm from. And then I had this even better idea. As I learn where you are from, I'm going to put, obviously, other than United States, but good example is CB, you're from Canada. So we have Brian, and I'm trying to remember who else is from the UK. But Brian, you're from England, correct? So I will be placing flags from other countries of subscribers around the outer ring. And that way we can kind of keep track of where people are viewing from. And I think that would be kind of fun to do that, and also kind of show a little love to other countries. So I found a place where I can buy these stickers. They're really inexpensive. I'm going to do that in very soon. So If you already have subscribed, I did put a post up. I'm interested in knowing where people are from. I know we've got England, we've got Canada, we've got India. Um, I feel like I'm missing someone, but anyway, that's what's going to happen with that. So, YouTube, if you're watching, give me give me a few days. I'll take care of this. I promise. I do not want to break the rules. Breaking the rules is not a part of my vocabulary. So we're going to do that. I'm going to take care of that. So yeah, CB, I thought the same thing. You gotta have to think ahead. This is still very new to me, and sometimes I do things without thinking clearly enough. And the reason I put the play button on the sign right there is honestly I thought it looked cool. And when you see the sign, you know it's a YouTube channel without having to say it's a YouTube channel. But either way, I spent some time today removing digitally removing that play button from some of my logos. And if you look on the logo online on the channel, that's already been swapped out. I did that one first because I was worried. But anyway, a couple things. I'm gonna. Sorry, I'm looking down. That's another thing I've got to do better at is making eye contact with y'all up there. But a couple things that I've posted about is I have thought about, and I've been getting some good responses, but I have thought about doing a once a month. I wish I could do once a week, and maybe I can later. Maybe once I get things streamlined and get used to it. But I certainly want to have a lecture at least once a month. And when I mean what I mean by a lecture is there'll be uh, a specific topic where I will literally teach about that topic. I think the first one I'm going to do is kind of near and dear to my heart because there's a lot of controversy about it. Is lift? How do we create lift for airplanes? Some people think it's Bernoulli's principle at work. Some people think it's third law of motion, so Sir Isaac Newton. I believe I was trained during flight training. I was trained to believe that it is Bernoulli's principle at work, but I do believe that it's actually both. So I'm going to look at things like that. And anyway, we'll go as far as describing the theory behind an airfoil, different types of airfoils, what their impact is on the creation of lift and drag, because drag always comes with lift. And then we'll also look into calculating lift based upon an airfoil of a certain plan form. Plan form is a fancy word for the shape of the wing, whether it's elliptical, rectangular, it could be swept forward, swept back, tapered. It could be tapered forward, tapered aft. And then we'll look at some math behind it. And that's where it really gets fun, is when you're doing some of these calculations. So anyway, if you are interested in that, because I certainly don't mind doing it. That's what I live for. But before I invest too much time, because it will be a full, honestly, you could probably count on sitting here with me for an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, depending on the topic. But I would like to know if people are interested prior to kind of diving headfirst into it. So anyway, I know my mic's working, which is good because I'm getting feedback from y'all. Hopefully the camera looks better. This is a not a very expensive camera. It's an autofocusing camera, but it's got good reviews. Hopefully it's better than my phone. So if it's not, please let me know, because I can work on something else. But anyway, it's kind of old too, so it's not like I'm spending a ton of money on what I've got here. Most of the stuff I'm using is repurposed. So anyway, so what would y'all like to talk about? Give me some. Okay, thanks, Brian. So the camera looks pretty decent. Hopefully, it's not a little granular looking and staticky looking. Hopefully, it's somewhat presentable. I want you to be able to read what's on the back wall here and understand. If you can read the titles of some of these books or read any of this stuff, then that's probably better than I'm expecting. But um, there's a bit of ghosting as though the shutter speed is slightly slow. Okay. I'll look into that. Thank you. I appreciate that. I can see it auto focusing when I move around a lot. I can see the screen kind of jump out, but thank you, CB. I'll look into that. I don't know too much about camera settings. However, I have a wonderful daughter who is a professional photographer. So I can probably get her input on this as well. So anyway, so I'm going to leave the for discussion. Is there anything that y'all would like to talk about specifically? I don't want to waste y'all's time, but if you have a topic or have something you'd like to speak about, I am all yours. Manually crank up the ISO setting. You might get okay. I'm gonna write this down. ISO setting for the camera. Thank you, CB. I appreciate that. So y'all help me a lot more than you think you do. Again, we get nowhere in life by ourselves. It's all about interaction and collaboration and teamwork through others. So thank you so much. I appreciate the help. I hope over time that this channel will get more interest in the live streams because I really enjoy the interaction and I like the platform better. I can sit and type and I can make videos, but I think through the live stream, not only do you get really to know who I am, not just through words, but you see who I am truly, and I get to know y'all much better as well. I really would like in some time in the future have some sort of setup where we can all see and speak to each other, almost like a collaboration of a Zoom call or something. I don't know. I'm not trying to get away from YouTube, but maybe something to add to it, add to the capabilities. I really would like to see more happen. But anyway, yeah, I agree, Brian. The capability of live streaming is really great. I was quite a bit nervous my first time. I probably showed that. I probably didn't look very calm and whatnot. I've gotten better, and it helps to one get familiar with how it works and what you can do and what you can't do, and also uh, the people that tune into your live streams. As you do it more, you get more comfortable with the people you're speaking to. So, like I said last time, I literally feel like I'm sitting in a room full of friends, and that's great. I really appreciate that. It's nice to feel that comfortable uh, when sitting here talking. So it's always good. But this desktop version of YouTube, I'm actually doing this through YouTube Studio right now. I will say I'm kind of impressed with it. It's pretty nice. Um, there's certain things that I don't exactly know how to do yet, but I'm getting there. But anyway, I hope to grow the audience certainly. anyway, but any topics regarding what you would like that um, lecture content, lecture series. Lift is just one of those things I think has always been. That's like one of the main things I'm asked as an aerospace educator is how do airplanes fly? And you'd be amazed at how a lot of people just don't quite understand it. It can be very complex depending on how far you dive into it, but it's pretty amazing. And I'm gonna show proof of the theory, not just talk about it, but I'm going to show you. I'm going to exaggerate Bernoulli's principle in a way so it's easily seen over a camera of exactly why and how a wing creates lift. Hey, Overload 12, how are you? Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, the background is the stuff behind me is probably older than all of us combined. Some of this stuff, well, the sign's not. My sign's brand new, but this rocket, this Nike smoke rocket you're looking at over my shoulder here is actually about 13 years old. It's fairly old. Um, my lamp here that's made from part of an airplane engine of an airplane that I learned to fly is 50 years old. These pictures, this picture right there, that picture was taken in probably 1998. Picture below of my dad in our airplane, that picture was taken in 1990. So these pictures are pretty old. And some of these things I have, like that small, I keep pointing the wrong way, but this small little space shuttle right here is, I think I got it when I was about 9 years old. But anyway, just wanted to have a fun back to share with people. So overload 12, you asked, it's not because of lift, right? Um, can you collaborate, expand on that? That way, I know exactly what you're asking. I want to make sure I understand you. Theory of flight is good place to start. Yeah, I think so too. CB, I think it kind of sets the stage for other things. You know, wings can be so complicated. You've got, you could have a wing that's just simply wooden ribs and a wooden spar with a canvas covering to form an airfoil, or you can have a wing with movable leading edge slats, Fowler flaps with a winglet, with spoilers, with ailerons. I mean, there's so many things you can put into a wing, and now they're looking at wings that it's almost like the wing is robotic. The wing can literally change shape as the airplane flies. So it's kind of like a more modern version of like the F-14, where it had a swept wing where you could move the wing at different angles. Well, now you can create a completely different shape wing, airfoil shape that is. So you could have a high lift airfoil for takeoffs and landings, but then when you get up to altitude, you get to cruise altitude, you could slim the wing out for better drag reduction. So it's pretty interesting stuff. Okay, Overload 12. I'm going to share something with you kind of along this line, but I'm not going to name the school or the professor, but I was involved in a live stream with a very well known technical university here in the United States that had a professor talking about the creation of lift by an airfoil. And I was blown away of how the discussion, in my opinion, again, my opinion, was wrong. And at first, I felt like, wow, I can't believe this person from this particular school is telling their students that this is how lift is created. I don't think it's entirely wrong because what they were claiming was that lift is created entirely by the relative wind, third law of motion. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So if we have our wing training aid, if we have our wing and airflow is traveling this way, obviously, this is what we refer to as the relative wind. So what they were indicating was that the angle of the wing, now if we're moving the entire plane here, we're changing the angle of attack. So the angle of attack is the angle between the relative wind and the chord line of the wing, chord line of the airfoil. So the chord line is defined as an imaginary line that runs from the center of the leading edge to the center of the trailing edge. So whatever that angle is to the relative wind is your angle of attack. So what they were talking about was what they call the angle of incidence. And the angle of incidence is if you've got the plane completely level, you're at 0 degrees, it's the angle that the wing is set to relative to the angle of the aircraft. So a lot of airplanes, most in fact, the wing is not exactly at 0 degrees. It's got some normal angle to it, positive angle. I think most airplanes have about 2 or 3 degrees. So they were explaining, or this person was explaining, that the lift is created by the wind hitting the angled wing bottom and deflecting by Newton's third law of motion and pushing the airplane up. I think it is certainly possible, and honestly, I believe that a certain degree of lift is created by the deflection of air or the downwash of the air striking the bottom portion of the airfoil. What I don't believe is that that's all there's to it, because I think Bernoulli's principle gets involved heavily here, where we're talking about differential pressure. The pressure on the top surface of the wing versus the pressure on the lower surface of the wing. And what creates that pressure is the shape of the airfoil. So I think there's a lot more to it than just air hitting the bottom of a wing. And someone once told me, arguing with me about this, they said, well, paper airplanes and balsa wood airplanes, the little stick wood planes you just kind of slide together, those have flat wings. They don't have any curvature and they fly. Well, here's what you got to look at. That's true. And they do fly, and they do fly well. If you take a balsa wood airplane and you look at it size, look at its relative size, all right, and you compare it to a real, let's pick an airplane. Let's pick this airplane right there. That Grumman AA-1A has a gross weight of 1,500 pounds. So if we scale a Grumman down to a small wooden airplane with a 12-inch wingspan, which is probably larger than most are, the scale weight that you just scaled down, that wooden airplane would weigh 62 pounds roughly. That's a lot of weight for a wooden airplane. Would it fly if the weight was in scale? No, it wouldn't. If you took a wooden airplane like that and tossed it, it would immediately just go to the ground and shatter in a million pieces. What you have to realize is that the reason a paper airplane and a reason a wooden airplane fly with a flat airfoil, because it's so light that it does fly based on just the relative wind striking the bottom of the wing. It's that light. It can do that. It's no different than a feather floating in the wind. So anyway, that's my personal opinion. And at one time, I felt a little nervous about talking about that, because some pilots today, even some aerodynamicists, will still argue that. So I think it's still open for discussion. I think it's a great way to strike up a conversation. But I think you really have to dig into it. You have to really understand it. If you can understand it to the point where you can do the math to calculate the lift based on an airfoil size, a plan form, and the coefficient of lift of that airfoil, then I think you understand it well enough to say, I know how lift is created. And so we will make that our first lecture because I think it's an interesting topic, and I think it's already got some of y'all's interest. So we'll talk about that. Yes, Bernoulli's explanation. Yeah, and that's a great point, CB, because if you look at the airfoil of a aerobatic airplane, most aerobatic airplanes, they are a symmetrical airfoil. So a symmetrical airfoil is the same shape on the top as it is the bottom, hence the name symmetrical. So aerobatic airplanes are essentially using the relative wind. Uh, and the angle of incidence is probably the better way of putting that. But look at those airplanes. They're extremely light, they're very small, and thus they can do that. So if you've ever looked at an airliner, this is my Delta 737-800. If you look at an airliner at the root, which is where the wing meets the fuselage, if you take the wing off and look at that root area, which I have had the opportunity to do back when I worked at the airline, I could almost I can sit up inside there. Huge thickness. The wing itself is probably three bigger airplanes like an MD-11 or Lockheed TriStar, probably closer to 4 foot thick right there at the root. So those aircraft certainly rely on everything they can. So it's a combination of angle of incidence and the differential pressure from Bernoulli's principle. Yeah, sure, overload. I'm glad that again, I'm here to teach, and so if y'all are under, if y'all have a question, please ask. Absolutely. I'm glad I could answer that for you, and we'll hit on that more in detail during that lecture, and I'll schedule that lecture far ahead where you'll know like a week out at least, to that way people can plan accordingly and make the time to sit through it and whatnot. And I'll try to even have like a syllabus for each one to where maybe there'll be a link in the video so you can download it, and or I'll post it on. That's what I can do. I can post it on my page on my channel page. That way you can either open it up or you can print it off and you can look at it as we're talking about it. So that way you can look at the material. So we'll treat it like a formal classroom. Heck, I may even send out certificates of completion. So anyway, good deal. You're right, CB. There's a lot of unresolved. There's a lot of debate in aerospace. You get a couple pilots together in one room, and man, you'll have an interesting conversation. And some people, like myself, we feel very strong about our opinion. Uh, I never will claim that I know everything, but in the 38 years that I've flown airplanes and all the time that I've spent researching about aircraft design and safety, and I'll share my design with y'all one day. I've kind of figured it out. Instead of listening to one side or the other, I've accepted what they both say and have learned that both sides are relevant. They really are. I don't think it's one way or the other. It's a combination of both. But like you said, CB, when you look at aerobatic airfoils or airfoils for aerobatic aircraft, even jet fighters have such slender wings. So you're getting past the need for high lift. You're getting into the need for speed, so to speak, low drag type of laminar flow airfoils. So there's certainly a lot of unresolved debates. So yeah, I may draw some attention with that one. So I may get a bunch of hate mail. Do I like Delta today? Yes, I do. I still have friends that work there. Um, Honestly, I wished I still worked there, but um, Delta is definitely my go-to airline, even today as a passenger. So I've got a trip coming up in July. I will be certainly flying Delta. Um, I also have, I guess, if I had to say my number two, at least in the area that I live in the southern, southeastern part of the United States, I'm a fairly good fan of Southwest as well. But Delta is certainly my favorite, and I'm a little biased because I spent many years working for them. But because of that, I've come to understand how they operate and what they go through to make sure that every plane is safe. And I've met many of their pilots and have seen their pilots in training. I worked in aircraft maintenance, so I saw the backbone of airplanes being repaired, maintained, and I truly feel 100% confident in how they do their jobs. And today, I bet it's even better than what it was when I worked there. So yeah, Delta is definitely a great airline. And I was at Delta during some really hard times during 9/11, and I saw Delta come together as a family and pick up the pieces and marched on. And it was difficult during that time. We were not really sure if we were going to have an airline to work for uh, within a year. We were very nervous, but the people is what really made it so much better for me. It's great to work for a big airline. It's really it's really nice to be in a store somewhere and someone seeing you in a Delta jacket or a shirt, and it's easy to feel proud about working for a organization like that does so well with what they do. But uh, I it's their people. Delta never referred to us as employees. We were Delta people, and we were the Delta family. And I miss that. I miss that environment. I really do. And I try to build that environment where I'm at today. And that's difficult when you don't have everybody on board. You got some people that come to work, they just want to come in to do their job, get their pay, and they leave. And then you have some people that, like me, who I spend more time at work than I do at home. So when I'm there, I want to do my very best. I want to educate and motivate my team and doing the very best. And I want them to feel comfortable and have fun at work. So when you don't have all those kind of people together, sometimes you butt heads with people. But either way, it's still a lot of fun. So, but I do miss working for the airlines. Absolutely. Delta wings are truly amazing. Yeah, Brian, are you referring to the aircraft or the airline as it in general, or are you referring to the actual pilot wings? All three are great, by the way. I was going to say if I don't have them right here with me, but I was given a pair of senior pilot wings from Delta. So I think those go back to that particular style of pilot wings has the old logo on them. So I've held on to them for 30 years now. Um, I've got a lot of Delta memorabilia. I've got decks of cards from the 70s. I've got a flag, an Olympic flag that flew on the aircraft. I believe it was the 767 that flew the Olympic torch from Europe to Atlanta, Georgia, back in 1996. I have a flag from that airplane. So love Delta Airlines. The Concorde, yeah, definitely. I think the Concorde's an amazing piece of just everything really, ingenuity, design development. If you look at the time frame that airplane was designed, it's truly amazing that they accomplished what they did. But that's what you can do when you put the right people on the right task, they'll find a way to make it happen. So I think we're going to see more things, more aircraft like the Concorde as we move forward into the future. I think we're going to see more aircraft uh, that are a little bit of a different look, a different design. You know, the Concorde with a long, slender nose, very pointy for Mach plus speeds, and then that delta wing is just amazing. Truly is. Imagine what we can do with something like that today with the computers that we have and uh, you know uh, the modeling software and stuff. I think it would be pretty awesome. I agree, CB, and that's really I think where I want to head with this lecture series is I want to treat people who are viewing as if they were becoming a pilot. Now, here's the disclaimer: I am not a flight instructor. I am studying, however, and this channel is actually helping me. But I'm studying for my FAA Advanced Ground um, Instructor Certificate, something I hope to get maybe by summertime. So essentially, as I provide content for this channel, it's a like a way of studying for my certificate. So hopefully uh, that will come relatively soon. But anyway, I'm not a flight instructor, but I do feel like I'm qualified to teach the physics and theory of flight. We're not going to be meeting at an airport somewhere, climbing into a Cessna 172. So I don't have to worry about that. But I think through my involvement with the Civil Air Patrol and what training they provided me and my own experience as a pilot flying, I think I'm qualified to to do something like this. So hopefully you feel the same, and we'll go forward with it. We'll see what happens. But I think you're right. You know, it's so easy to get caught up in the coolness of the F-22 and 747s and Concords and stuff. But if you had a basic understanding of the very building blocks of flight, you would even I think you would appreciate those aircraft even more. The physics behind flight is truly amazing. What it takes to balance an airplane so that you stay within the CG limits, uh, the control inputs, how the controls actually function. Most people, they see a control yoke. That was I think one of the quizzes on my page was what is the steering wheel of an airplane called? I'll give the answer away. It's called a yoke. So if you look at a cockpit of an airplane, you see a stick or you see the yoke. What's attached to that? Uh, how do the controls function? Um, Stuff like that. I think you're going to enjoy the next video I post, which is the six pack of aviation, which is covering the six primary flight instruments. I'm going to cover the steam gauge style of the actual six individual instruments. And then I'm going to also cover at the end of that video, we'll cover what's modern today with the screen that we now refer to as a primary flight display. So, and how those six instruments are, all that information that those six instruments provide are combined inside that one flight display. So, I'm really trying to hit hard about ground school type training stuff. So, that is correct, CB. So it is like a ground school. That's exactly what it's going to be. Just you hit the nail on the head right there. It will essentially be like a private pilot ground school. The advanced ground school instructor rating that I'm trying to pursue or am pursuing, it will not just cover private pilots, but it also commercial and even airline transport pilots. So it's very broad. So once we cover the private pilot portions, we'll expand and we'll go a little bit further with it. So there's so much to learn. Everything from weather, regulations. There's a lot of regulations involved. Anything that's government controlled, there's a lot of regulations. Now, I also know that, there's those of you out there, such as yourself, CB and Brian, that are not in the United States. So I'm going to try really hard to present the information that, okay, let me give you an example. Let's say we're talking about what are the requirements to become a private pilot. Well, that's not the same everywhere you go. So I know just off the top of my head that you have to have at least 20 hours minimum here in the United States, but in Europe you have to have 25. And I also know that in the United States you have to have a minimum of 3 hours of night flying, where in Europe night flying is not required. It's actually an option. So there's certain differences between them. I don't want to teach everything from the United States point of view. I want to make sure that this is relevant no matter where you live. So if I can find the information, I will certainly provide comparisons of the different things. So the regulations are going to be different. Hence, pilot requirements are going to be different. Airplane type certificates and airworthiness directives and stuff like that will be different from country to country. But you'll also find, because of ICAO, a lot of things are standardized. And if for those of you who've watched the runway markings video, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Now, not all runways are standardized. If CB, if you or Brian owned your own property and you built a runway just for your own airplane, none of that applies. You don't have to have a single marking on your runway. You can just have a blank asphalt runway. But if you start getting into more of the commercial areas or runways over a certain length in certain areas, then you have to conform with the standardizations of ICAO. And ICAO again is like it's the broad organization. So under ICAO would be the FAA here in the United States, where they can either make the regulations tighter, but they at least have to go by the basics of ICAO. So, but we can talk about all kinds of stuff in that lecture series, because a lot of things are generic no matter where. Airplane design is airplane design. There's so much. I will never run out of information to share with y'all. I get headaches sometimes just trying to decide what I'm going to make a video about. So anyway, it should be fun. I hope it's fun. I hope it's educational. It's got to be fun, though. We have to have fun doing it. I think it will be. I hope that it's something I can do more often. We'll try one a month starting off. It's also going to be something that's only for subscribers. I think that will help me try to control how many folks are involved, because I don't want to get to a point where there's so many people. I might be severely over optimistic with this, but I don't want it to be so big because people are just stopping in and taking part in the discussion that, one, we have people who are making trouble, because in that setting, I don't have time to babysit grown people. And I think it takes away from your experience. How can you enjoy learning something if you got someone who's causing problems? So if you're a subscriber, then more than likely you're not going to be a troublemaker, and you'll be respectful because you know kind of the rules of the channel and how we appreciate everyone's opinion. We're not going to argue and fuss and fight and act like children. But I think it will also allow everyone the opportunity to interact with me and ask their questions, and I'll be able to answer all your questions. Because the last thing I want to do is to be done with a lecture and there's a question that someone may have had and they didn't get to ask. So because that's limiting that person from learning. So hello to Brian's friend. Awesome. Glad to have a friend of a friend in here. So the more the merrier. We can sit here and talk all day. But anyway, so we'll go ahead and count on Lift being our first lecture series. But uh, give me a little while to. I probably won't even begin to create the curriculum, so to speak. I'll probably use some Civil Air Patrol resources. they're they're mighty handy in those respects, but I probably won't do anything with that until after the current video is published, and I'm just probably a third of the way done with it now. I've been falling really behind. Editing videos is extremely time consuming, but I would rather have fewer videos than to have a lot of videos that are just really poorly made. So I'd rather take the time and make sure that the videos are quality and you enjoy what you see and learn something. I think if the sound's bad and the pictures are bad and um, I've got a massive glare off my head, then you're not going to learn because you're going to be distracted by the horrible video. So my goal is to create a good quality video and in the same time create a learning or educational opportunity. But anyway, um, every time is hopefully an improvement. So getting somewhere. Before, when I first started, I had just a green screen, and now I've got a wall behind me that I hope it projects that I'm here to teach kind of um, environment, so to speak. But anyway, exactly overload. That's exactly right. If you're going to do something, you have to give it your best, or else why do it? There's so many people that do things and kind of just don't really take it seriously or whatnot, and you have to do your very best with it. And that's part of my core values, is everything I'm involved in. I try to do my very best. That doesn't mean I don't fail, but if you're going to do it right. Do it your very best. So another thing I've thought about doing too is having another series, uh, maybe not really a series, but more posts regarding, because I'm always thinking, I can post things about airplanes and helicopters and spacecraft and the planets and all this. There's so much stuff to share about aerospace. Another thing I've been thinking about doing too is, and I've already done one, is sharing thoughts about leadership, because I think at some point in anyone's future, whether it's already happened or not, you're going to have to become a leader. And I've learned how to be a leader through trial and error and a lot of errors. Let me add, I, I when I was young, I thought I was a good leader, and I really wasn't. And so it took an amazing man that I worked with at Delta Airlines who mentored me to show me what true leadership is. And of course, my involvement in Civil Air Patrol really started all that with me, at a very young age. Being a leader, not a follower. So, but sometimes we do need to be a follower, but it's knowing when to lead and how to lead, which is what's important. So, I would like to share some of my failures and triumphs in the area of leading or leadership and leading others. Um, Anybody can be a leader. I once heard someone, I can't remember who they were, but someone once said that leaders are born, and I disagree with that. I think leaders are made, but you have to be willing to accept the responsibility and understand the consequences. You have to be accountable. You have to be a servant leader. You can't serve yourself. You have to serve others before yourself. So there's there's a lot of stuff I think I would like to share at some point. Yeah, I really do, Brian. Well, I would really would like to collaborate with Brian. I would like to do one with you as well. Any of y'all. Maybe it's something we can work out in the future. I did download some software the other night. I'm not even going to get too deep into telling you what it is and all that because I'm still reviewing it, and it may not even be what I'm really looking for. But I did notice in some of these programs that allow for collaboration, and I think what it does is it's kind of like the software is in the middle between the internet and YouTube, and so what it does is the software allows a person through a internet link to connect with that software. It mixes it and creates the live stream, and then it sends it to YouTube. So that's something I'd really like to get into because there's some great people out there, and I think in numbers we're certainly more powerful. Um, and I've always thought collaboration was really fun. So I think it'd be a good time. So how's the sound, by the way? Yeah, I've not touched the settings on this. It's just in a default mode. I do feel like this mic is extremely sensitive, and the reason I say that is because I can pull up um, an app on my computer here, and it shows like I can just rub my fingers together, and it'll actually pick it up. So I'm not really sure if I'm sounding like I'm in a metal room or if I'm like if it's extremely sensitive and it's causing y'all to mute me or turn it down. But at some point, I'm going to get all this figured out. I literally just got a bunch of equipment just hooked together and I'm just going with it. So at some point, I'm going to get better at this. But anyway, well, I'm probably going to call it here in a minute, guys. We've been on here for about an hour now, it looks like. Um, I want to be respectful to my wife and my kids. So do not want to make the wife upset. So I don't want to spend too much time, but I certainly wanted to come out here and chat with y'all for a little while because without y'all, it would be nothing doing this. And so far, this has been a blast. I really enjoyed it. I enjoy the rush of trying to get a video together, and it's not easy sometimes. You're busy with family and home and work, and then you try to squeeze in a few minutes every day to edit a video or whatnot, and so it's time consuming, but it's certainly worth it. And you all make me feel like it's worth it. So I have no complaints. I have a lot of fun doing this. I imagine it would be a little challenging, Brian. Um, I do it at work around the world talking to people, but we have a specific application that takes care of everything, and it's pretty amazing too because not only is it where I can video conference with someone on the other side of the planet, but it even has built-in interpretation. So if it's if language is a barrier, it's not a barrier after that. So it's pretty neat stuff. Um, but yeah, definitely collaboration in the future for sure because I think it'd be a blast. I really do. Well, folks, I appreciate y'all tuning in tonight. It's been a lot of fun. Um, Always have a good time hanging out with y'all. I hope y'all do as well. But I'm going to get off here and go spend a little bit of time with the family and help my son with something and shower and bed and go back to work tomorrow. But I may not be, just to kind of forewarn you, you may not hear a whole lot from me Friday, Saturday, Sunday later this week because I'm going on a little family trip. So I probably will have my phone and stuff with me, but I probably won't be touching it all that much. But so don't think that I just disappeared. But need a little break with the family there, so we're gonna go do some camping and some outdooring, whatnot. But if I do anything during that time, it probably working on that video. So we'll see. But folks, I appreciate it. Thank you for all y'all have done and continue to do. This is truly a fun venture, a fun journey, and I really look forward to every day with this because you just never know what's going to pop up and new opportunities. So I am truly grateful for y'all, Southern United States, y'all. I'm truly grateful for you all giving me the opportunity to be able to sit in front of a camera and share a little bit about what I know. And hopefully it'll spark an interest in somebody. Maybe it'll make you want to become a pilot. Maybe it'll make you want to, this is not all about being a pilot. I've done more things in aviation, far more than just being a pilot. Pilot's probably the smallest thing I've done in aviation. I have served my country through the Civil Air Patrol and done so with pride and truly think that's one of my greatest accomplishments. I've worked for a great airline. I've worked for a charter operation that flew private jets. I've worked for a smaller charter operation where I simply pumped fuel in planes. So there's so much things out there you can do. If you're young and you want to be a pilot, then great. You don't even have to be young. If you can be older and you can still be a pilot. But you can also be a mechanic. You can be an air traffic controller. You can be a meteorologist. Did you know that Delta Airlines employs their own meteorologist? It's true. And probably other airlines out there do the same, if not all of them. So there's so many things you can do. It doesn't mean you have to be a pilot. Some people just want to know the skill. Maybe you don't have no interest in being a pilot, but you sure would like to know how it works, or you sure would like to know how to navigate. Well, that's things we can learn here. We can learn about this rocket right here. In fact, I'm going to have a live stream sometime during this summer of us in a big field, and we're going to launch this thing, and it's going to be right there on the screen. I'm going to set my cameras up on some tripods, and we're going to walk through the process of launching the rocket. Stuff like that. We can do all kinds of stuff. So maybe you have no interest in being a pilot or anything, but you simply have an engineering mind, and you really like the fact that here you can come and we learn how to calculate lift of an airfoil, and we can talk about engineering because I love engineering. So am I an engineer? No, I've never been to school. I don't have a degree in engineering, but I think I'm a pretty good amateur engineer. I've built and designed many rockets. I have helped build airplanes. I have helped, what else have I done? I've helped, not just helped, but I've flown airplanes so I can understand how they're built and how they operate. And so to me, engineering is truly fascinating. And I really love getting down into the very basics of everything. But, here we can learn about everything. So if you want to learn how to make a lamp out of an airplane cylinder, hey, I can show you that too. It's actually not very hard. But anyway, folks, I'm going to get off here. Thank you so much. Yeah, overload. Yeah, we'll definitely launch the rockets. And this is the smallest one I have. Or actually, these are the smallest ones. This is an actual model rocket, so it's about that high. but I've got several. I've got a lot of model rockets, and I've probably got about 50 or 60 of them of different kinds. This one here is my smallest high-powered rocket. So you have model rocket, mid-powered rocket, high-powered rocket. So this one will fly on mid-powered motors as well. But anyway, but I've got an AMRAAM that's it's probably about 6 feet tall. I've got a Phoenix missile that's rather big. Both of those are high-powered rockets. So if you like rocketry, you're in the right place. We can certainly bore some holes on the sky with some rockets. So anyway, I'll quit procrastinating. But folks, thank you so much. Appreciate y'all joining in. It's been a lot of fun. Let me know what you like, what you don't like. I truly appreciate constructive criticism. If I'm posting things that are absolute no interest to you, let me know. I'll be glad to, and I'm going to try to every quarter have a little poll, because I want to always make sure that I'm providing what you're looking for, not just what I want to show you. But it looks like as of right now, most people are interested in like flight and training that would be like for a pilot, understanding flight controls and instrumentation and navigation, weather, stuff like that. So I think that's what we're gonna continue down that road, and until something else happens. So anyway, always open for discussion on what kind of information you'd like to see, and I'm certainly willing to create a video based on what you're telling me, because that's what I'm here for. So anyway, folks, I will catch y'all in a couple of days. I'll try to go live one more time before the weekend. Don't hold me to it, but I'm going to try. So CB, appreciate you. Overload 12, appreciate you, Brian. Am I missing anybody? I think that's everyone that I've seen comments from. Oh, I just saw your comment, CB, about it's not a toy, it's a training aid. You are absolutely correct. That is a training aid. When I did have a real training aid, it's basically an airplane on a stick, and I need to get me like a Cessna model and put a stick on it, because at some point we're going to be talking about angle of attack, angle of incidence, roll rate. We'll talk about stall angles, clean stalls, dirty stalls. We'll be talking about all kinds of stuff like that. I'm definitely going to have to get me some training aids. I'm glad you mentioned that, CB, because I hadn't thought about that. So definitely going to need something to demonstrate the theory with. So I appreciate that. Well, folks, y'all have a good evening, good night, good morning, depending on where you're at. And we'll do this again soon. Thanks again for everything y'all do, and we'll continue to do. I truly appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great night. Be safe, and we'll see you next time. So gear down, 3 green. We'll catch y'all later.